Hi, my name is Brook still, and I work as a spiritual teacher and healer out of Los Angeles, California. Today, as a request from some of my students, I'm talking a little bit about a workshop that I'm going to be teaching. And it'll be from 9 to 4 local time, one day only, but I'll be teaching it for Tel Aviv, one day, Paris, Munich, and then Los Angeles. So please look at my site for the dates for each of these. And the title for the class is called A Beautiful Death. A lot of people will run from the energy of death. However, I can assure you, no matter how much running you do, it will come to you at some point. And to assume that it's going to come to you much, much later in life is exactly that. It's an assumption. This class not only takes care of holding this amazing space for you to understand what death is like in your own body, how to actually do the internal work that you need to do to be able to be at ease in your death, to understand what's happening from one point to the next, from that perspective to actually being with someone who's dying and holding space properly and helping them move through their death, to be with the family, to be able to be with your own family, be able to work with them in a way that makes it supportive over the person's death and not versus everybody's own desire of what they want around them, to actually honor the person who's dying as their own sacred death. I also go into the whole piece for the United States around actual setting up for funerals and everything along those lines, so that you can do it green if you choose, that you can actually cut off a huge amount of the costs that most people don't even realize are built into $1 billion business that doesn't have to be that expensive. To also giving you the opportunity to properly grieve, to help hold space for people who are grieving, to understand what you can do and or be with another being, to help heal. Sometimes we'll try to use our words to help somebody heal, and that can actually become positive toxicity because you're not sure how to actually interact with another person. It gives you the ability to become deeply compassionate. And at the same time, with the way that this workshop is, you have about a 40-page workbook. I also do very specific meditations and downloads so that you actually can hold and vibrate at these certain rates for people in their healing, in their death, in their graduation. So I very much welcome you to join us for this very precious opportunity to be kind to yourself, to embrace life more fully by fully understanding death, to be able to hold space for the people that you love, and to be able to be free from the energy of thinking, God, I wish if I had only known I'd been able to actually hold the space for that person so much better. Their death could have been kind and generous and loving instead of with this. Okay? And I say that specifically because that's how my training started. My training started from a major space of pain. I was 31 years old. And my uncle was very, very ill. And my uncle was also very special. He was kind and sweet and very quiet, but he was also on the spectrum. He was autistic. And he lived with my grandmother. And he was my grandmother's only son because her other son had been killed when she was a young woman, when he was 4 years old. He got hit by a bus. So here is my uncle going into hospital, very ill and terrified. I am already working as a healer. So he's like, Brooke, please don't let me die here. Please help me. Please get me out of here. And that was the only thing I could work with. The idea of having this sweet, terrified man having to go through this experience, I was going to do everything I could to keep him alive. The idea of having to go and tell my grandmother, I'm so sorry, but your son is dead, was not something I wanted to ever have to do. And I, because I was a really good healer, unfortunately extended his life longer. I literally tied in my organs to his organs. I could actually feel my kidneys starting to fail. And it got to the point where my guides told me, Brooke, you have to pull back or it's going to take you with him. And I had to let go. And then I was there with him for his death. And it was hard. I'm not going to lie, it was really hard. But I was at least aware enough to make sure that I had him cleaned up well, that I had all the tubes out of his mouth and everything else before I brought my grandmother back to say goodbye to her son. That, I can say honestly, was the only piece that I ran well. The rest of it was the dive off the cliff. I can hold an amazing space for now. I can do some of the most beautiful work. A lot of people had to go through a lot of pain for me to learn what I learned. But sometimes if we learn things the hard way, it goes in a lot deeper. However, I think that's an old paradigm. At least it's a 20-year-old paradigm with me, right? I hope that you choose to take this class instead and not make this a 20-year paradigm for yourself. Make this a one-day gift of making a friend of death. So that way you can hold the most amazing space for those you care for and love. And you won't be panic-stricken. You'll be able to be at peace as you hold that space for them. I look very forward to seeing those of you who are called to join us. Take care.